What is up, everybody? Welcome to Word, a podcast brought to you by every Arkansan, where we live to see every Arkansan chasing their God-given dream. My name is Zach.
My name is Eric, and we've known each other since what? We were two little
tykes, man.
Two little North Little Rock kids running around playing soccer at LPOA. You know, come on.
Yeah. Hey, anybody rep for NLR, rep for Dogtown.
Lakewood.
Let's go.
Gotta love some LPOA some pool days, you know.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Black Bears, Orange Gators,
Red Rockets.
That's my favorite team right there. Or the Patriots too. Those little sick bandanas.
The bandanas were something.
Oh my goodness, such good times. Well, hey, everybody, thanks so much for being with us. Eric, my good brother, tell our good people what this podcast is all about.
Yes, this podcast is called Word. Obviously, word meaning, you know, like the word of God. But the idea behind it is what we do all the time with writing lessons for the kids is we take truths from the word of God and try to apply them to their lives. So we'll be talking about top truths for the week. That top truth is a truth for these kids that they can learn, apply it to their lives. Sometimes you'll hear some interesting words that maybe you don't know the definition to, but we try to put it in their lingo so that they can understand it even better. Because if we put it in sometimes that evangelistic church lingo, they're like,
yeah, for sure.
What is salvation? What is redemption? You are weird, Mr. Zach, Mr. Eric. This doesn't make any sense at all. So we take word. Mm-hmm. We put into a small top truth, and that's what we're gonna be talking about in this podcast. Why we made that top truth, where it came from, and then we'll also be sharing a story that kind of surrounded that top truth that we saw. So super excited! I think this is gonna be great. And then hey, if you want to steal our top truth and preach on it, just please do it. This is userize, plagiarize, whatever you call it.
Let's go! Absolutely. Well, yeah. Hey, that's so good. And you guys, just like Eric said, we live to do this and we love to do it, right? Taking biblical truth and making it accessible for kids. It's just such a joy. So, hey, without further ado, we're going to throw it over to our girl, Anaya, from right over the street in wonderful Eastgate community. So here we go.
I got Anaya here today. She has been with us since first grade, and this fall she'll be going into sixth grade. So she's been with us for a while. She is living in North Little Rock, one of our North Little Rock communities we get to go to and hang out with. And she is a very faithful student that we have hanging around with us. So Anaya, I want you to tell everybody, what's our top truth this week?
God is a God of no cap.
God is a God of no cap. What does cap mean?
Like when somebody when you say like no cap, like they're not lying or something like that.
So they're not lying. So it doesn't mean like take your hat off. It means God is a God who doesn't lie. So what does that mean to you?
Like if your friends is like saying like I'm going somewhere and they're like lying to you, and like when you go to their house or something like that, they would be like, and you're standing there, and you're like, I thought you were going for your trip or something like that. Mm-hmm. But when God is like, when you're like going to come down to earth, you're going. He's not like he's speaking the truth.
Yeah. So your friends lie to you is what you're saying, but God never lies to you.
Yeah.
So there it is. That's our top truth this week. God is a God of no cap.
What a wonderful video. Hey, Anaya, wherever you are right now, thanks. Appreciate you, girl. Yeah.
Shout out to Anaya. She was definitely pretty nervous to get behind the camera and talk to me. But
facts.
You put her without a camera, she can talk to you all day long. You put the camera in front, and it's like,
oh, what? Yeah. No, that's such a good point. Gosh, man. She really is a cool kid. How long have we known her?
Yeah, I think like you saw in the video, we've known her since she was, I think we said like third, second grade or something.
Oh man!
And now she's in middle school, so known her for a while. She continues to show up. Incredible kid.
Yeah.
Does a great job. She has some little siblings too that she helps, you know,
Mhm.
kind of lead and
Yeah.
discipline at times, and you know, it's cool to watch her grow up. And even too, right outside these doors, we have
Yeah.
some little kid pictures of her.
Yeah.
I remember her running around here as an elementary school kid, you know, like second grade, whenever she came to us, and
Yeah.
um, she's always been a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So what's cool too is next week we get to see her older sister
Yeah.
introduce the top truths. So that's gonna be super super exciting as well.
Yeah.
But just a really cool family. I've really enjoyed getting to know them, and they're a family too that, you know, God is a God of no cap. They like to share truth to us. They're always
Oh yeah.
telling the truth.
Keeping it real for sure.
They keep it real. Did you have a good day? Yes. Did you have a good day? No.
No. Yeah.
And then, okay, well, what happened?
Oh man.
Well, I had a test. Okay, did you study? No. Well, no.
Oh man.
That makes sense.
Bro, when we come around on Tuesdays, I'm sure you feel this way too. Like, especially with Angela going to the middle schools, like it. I mean, obviously, we don't want it to just be like a gossip session, but getting all the drama from her,
Spill the tea.
spilling the tea, yeah, what she's going through, I actually do enjoy that time because I think she's just so candid, and you know, it always ends up being a good thing because you're like, okay, hey, seriously, what's going on, and they'll tell you.
Yeah. So
Anyway, sorry.
God is a God of no cap.
Yeah.
I'm just going to talk about the heart behind. So this lesson series that we're starting off with is from our Mansion of Mystery lesson series, which we did an incredible movie series, which you actually were the main character in the series, Dr. Hans Ramore.
That's right.
Can you just give us a little taste of your accent in the series?
For sure.
Just a little taste.
If you could have just imagined me right now with just luscious, beautiful hair.
I think we're gonna clip a picture in right now.
Yeah, we
There
should.
you go.
Yeah.
Right, boom.
Right there. Just such a wonderful time. Yeah, you know, little molasses draw, you know, just sweet, rolling off the tongue like you're from Georgia.
I think the favorite scene of all of ours is when you fake your death.
Yeah.
You come back to life and you say what?
Surprise! I'm alive. Everybody's like, what?
Yeah, and then me and another character in the series go and grab you as you're trying to escape.
That's right.
You know? So back to the heart behind the top truths for this series. So we all got together in a room, and I think for the first time we really sat down and said, how can we make these top truths and use relevant, interesting words the kids are saying out about right now?
Yeah, for sure.
And so we sat down, and so you're going to hear a lot in these first like 7 lessons, like no cap, FRFR, bussin'. You're going to hear all these words that's like, that's really strange, but and once we say it, the kids know exactly what we mean.
Yeah.
Versus in the past, we would say something like, God is a God of redemption. And they're like, what? And then by the next week, they've already forgotten it.
Yeah, for sure.
The cool thing is here is, you know, we're months down the road, and they can now remember, like, God is a God of no cap.
Yeah.
And so hopefully as they're walking through the schools without us in their life and just going about it maybe at home too, it hits them like, God is a God of no cap. And although in this moment there's a lie going on. And so as we sat down in that room and all these top truths came together, it was, at times we were laughing because it was so just like, this is not how we talk at all in our day and day. But it's like, this is how the kids talk, and this is what they get. And so it was really fun to actually sit down and write these lessons. So I hope you enjoy them as well as we talk about them and tell you the heart behind them. But tell us more about, you know, this first lesson. This is the start of the series, Mansion of Mystery. So they're kind of, these people are in the mansion. They're trying to find a truth essentially the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
And all that.
Yeah, we love this lesson. So God is a God of no cap. If you don't know what cap is, that's just a lie, right? You can accuse somebody of saying a lie. You can call them out. Hey, that's cap, right? You know, so basically, God is a God of no cap. Well, for all you believers out there, God does not lie, right? So that's what we're trying to get in the minds of these kids, in their hearts. The verse we wanted to use was actually from the letter of Hebrews in chapter 6, verse 18. I'm going to read it right here. In the New Living Translation, it says, "So God has given both his promise and his oath. These two things are unchangeable because it's impossible for God to lie." And so just like Eric said, we were in the room. I mean, just all the ideas going around, and we're like, okay, how can we just communicate that short and sweet to these kids that God doesn't lie, and it's impossible for him to lie. And I think it was Eric who first said, "Hey, God is a God of no cap. Let's just try to drill that in." I mean, it's like you said, we hear the kids say stuff like that all the time, right? And that's really what we want the kids to grasp on, is that he doesn't lie, he can't lie, and that's just a reflection of his faithfulness. So if God says it, he's going to do it. You think of other verses, right? Anything God says, it's never going to return without accomplishing what he wants it to accomplish. And even though, in life, that's probably not going to be what you experience with people or, friends, family, whatever. When it comes to God and his relationship with you, your relationship with him, we want these kids to know that he's never going to lie. He can't lie. He's perfectly faithful and perfectly truthful. So
I remember sitting in that room too, and as we were brainstorming these really weird top truths, there was some people in the room you could just tell were not on board.
Yeah.
They were like, "Yeah, this is not going to work." Doubting it. And then at the end of the summer, I remember some of the people that kind of doubted actually were like, "These top truths actually stuck with the kids more than anything we've ever done."
For sure.
So, I mean, I think a great thing there is, if you ever get an opportunity to speak in front of kids, in front of adults, whatever it is, know your audience. That is a huge thing.
Oh, man.
Even if it's
so good.
You're talking to kids right now, and you have to say God is a God of no cap, and it sounds really corny and cheesy. Know your audience, because that's what's going to stick with them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know your audience, and we just go out there, if we would have said God is a God of no lies, like, it's a great top truth.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't stick the same as God is a God of no cap.
Bro, Eric, dude, literally I just had a thought in my mind. I remember you started working here before I did, and since the beginning you've been over mobile, just, rocking and rolling, doing your thing.
I started working here, a whole 2 months before you. So,
but still, I mean, I remember, so not only have Eric and I known each other for a long time, but I remember when I joined the mobile team, I was doing something else with the Dream Center before that, like teaching over at our Little Rock location. And man, I remember starting to really write lessons with you. Like, we've kind of formed this, this kind of like inner circle of like people who really take curriculum seriously, and it's so much fun. We have a great time with it. So Eric and I are sitting down one day, and just make a long story short, I remember at the time, I was still coming more from the space of communicating these things in, my churchy theological school language. And I remember you sat me down. You're like, "Bro, like, it's not going to hit like you think it's going to hit, And like we were talking earlier, I wasn't one of the doubters that we were speaking of, but at a certain time, I definitely was. And, just for all you guys out there, what Eric is saying, it really does work. It hits in a different way with these kids. Like, even though it makes sense, it's not like we're speaking in a different language to them. Contextualizing and taking the time to be intentional about the way you say something, especially for kids these days, gosh, makes a world of difference.
Yeah, because you think about just this lesson, God is a God of no cap. You think about everything these kids see every single day, everything they're listening to, everything they're reading, everything they're watching on TikTok.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just pumping in just little subtle lies constantly. And so what I was actually listening to another podcast, and they're talking about how our phones actually are probably discipling us at this point.
Yeah, dude.
And so you start to think about a lot of the kids that we really have deep connections with are probably our kids that have an iPhone or have a device that they can get on TikTok. And so these kids are being discipled by YouTube, TikTok, and hopefully with just our, hour we get to spend with them or 2 hours, we give them this top truth. And just the hope is, God has got a no cap as they see all these lies. I mean, you see things on the internet all the time, and then the next day it's a total new story.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, where's the truth in the middle of this?
Mm-hmm.
Or you see a story, one news station's promoting it this way, another news station's promoting it this way.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's the truth in this?
Yeah, and they're all saying like, "Hey, believe this. This is factual. This is the truth."
Or they're hating on other news network.
for
It's
sure.
like, well, they said this, but that's not true because we know exactly what happened.
Yeah, these people are stupid. Like,
And so these kids, I mean, but what we're seeing on TikTok is just, the lie that, as you look at the Bible, you start to see, God created sex in a good way.
yeah, right.
But a lie that's being pushed out to a lot of kids is, sex is just free will it and enjoy it
Yeah,
because God created it.
yeah. Go for it.
Go
Like,
for it and do it all the time. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be in the context of marriage.
Yeah,
And then the other lie behind that is, in the context, you shouldn't have to wait for it. You need to try it out. Make sure that
Yeah.
you and your partner, it's good to go.
yeah. Like you're
before you get married.
compatible.
But that's not the Genesis way there.
Yeah.
And so like little lies like that are constantly being pushed into
Mhm.
their heads. And so I think one of the, really the heart behind this message was, you're going to be lied to. And you even heard Anaya on the video. She talked about her friends lie to her.
Yeah,
Her friends say they're going to do one thing and they don't
Mhm.
do it. But God's not going to lie to you. I think about there's a story that my friend tells. He's a mentor to a kid out in one of our communities, and he told me that this kid called him like an hour after football practice.
yeah,
And he was like, "Hey, I need you to come pick me up." And the guy's like, "Why do I need to come pick you up?" Because because my dad said he was going to pick me up, and he never showed up.
yeah,
And so these kids are hearing lies like that as well from their parents, unfortunately, a lot. Like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm going to take you to Disney World."
yeah.
Well, a year down the road, these kids are still coming and telling us,
Hey, I'm going to Disney.
I'm going
World.
to Disney World.
Yeah, right.
And it's, we have to look at them and be like, okay,
yeah, like,
sure.
I really hope you do.
Or
That'd be so fun.
My dad's going to get me a PS5, or
Yeah,
my mom, and the parents are saying it with good intentions.
sure.
But the reality is it's just kind of a little lie to give them an incentive to
Yeah.
dream about something. And then the sad thing is they realize, oh, this is never going to happen.
Yeah,
And so the cool thing as we taught this lesson was we got to tell them, hey, God's not going to lie. If he says it, he's
Yeah.
going to do it.
that's right. Yeah,
And you
So
see it
good.
throughout the Bible. He says one thing, he does it. You
Yeah.
know, even if it's like, hey, I'm going to destroy it if you do this. If you touch, the ark, you're going to die. Boom.
skip a couple pages down.
There you go.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't lie. He
Right.
says, hey, I'm going to send my son.
yeah.
And guess what? He sends Jesus.
That's right.
Jesus knew the mission. Hey, I'm coming. I'm going to die. It's
Mhm.
going to be brutal. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah,
But I'm going to do it.
that's so good.
And
man.
even when he's, struggling there and wrestling with it in the garden, he's like, you know what? I came to do it. I'm
Oh,
going to do it.
that's right.
And so I really like this lesson because it brings a reality. All these kids are just, they're going through it, man. And it's like, you hear it all the time when we go to middle school on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, that's cap. That's cap.
Yeah.
No, that's cap.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's cap. You hear it all the time. Like, kids are constantly
Yeah,
just throwing little baby lies out there.
like even to us.
Yeah.
Like we'll say something. I think that's the thing that has really stopped me. I feel like you and I talk about that a lot. Like we'll say something and they're like, "Yeah, you're lying," and we're like, "No, like for real. Like mean what we say." And I don't know. Kind of as we draw to a close, like I kind of wanted to ask you that. Like, is that something you've been thankful to God to see? Like you say something to a kid, especially in the context of lying or telling the truth, and for it to actually come back around like that, you too mean what you say, and that they can kind of have that aha moment. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's a good way we get to model, like, what we're saying to them, like just being people that tell the truth,
Yeah, I think it's something I always tell people when they come on board is under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen is if you promise something or you say you're going to do something and
Yeah.
you don't turn around and do it, immediately that trust is broken with that kid.
Oh, for sure.
So if you tell a kid, hey, I'm bringing you a basketball next week, you show up next week, that kid's looking for you because he wants that basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and you know, there's so many things that go on at work, at home,
Yeah.
whatever, that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if you forget the basketball. We see so many kids, by the time that next week comes around, you know, that basketball might be forgotten.
Yeah.
And so then that trust is broken, and they think, you know what, this guy's just going to lie to me like everyone else has.
Yeah. Gosh.
Versus you say, hey, I'm going to do my best to get you a basketball.
Yeah.
Next week you show up, hey, did you get me that basketball? Oh, I forgot. But hey, remember what I said? I'm going to do my best to
Yeah.
get you that basketball. And so then eventually when you do remember it, maybe it's 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe
Sure.
maybe you remember the first week.
Uh-huh.
You know, who knows? But you know, it's so good. You know, you under promise, over deliver. Versus if you over promise and under deliver, you lose that trust. You lose
Mhm.
that, and then you become the person that's lying, that's capping
Yeah.
in that sense.
Man.
But something I'm super excited about too on this podcast is every week we're going to do like a win of the week or a story of the week.
Yeah.
That's revolved around our top truth.
Yeah.
And so God is a God of no cap. Immediately, the story that came to my mind was the story of one of our kids in the Eastgate community,
Yeah. Come on.
one of our 11 mobile sites.
Eastgate.
And it's really one of like everybody's favorite kids.
I know.
Not that we have favorites.
Never.
Let me hey, no favorites here. But just a kid that's been around for a long time. And she, every single time she comes, she always gives basically everybody a hug.
Yeah.
And if there's a new face, she always will come up to me and be like, hey, who's that? I want to go introduce myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, that's Mr. Zell. Go introduce yourself. Go give him
Uh-huh.
a hug. But there was one day this summer that she came and just, you could tell she was just,
Yeah, dude.
she was not feeling it.
Vibes
And,
down.
I went over and I was like, surely she'll talk to me about whatever's going on. You
Mhm.
know, I figured it was some kind of boy issue or
Right.
maybe she got her phone taken by her mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was going through my head.
Yeah.
at
I'm
least.
with you. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, or she didn't get the right piece of candy from the house. You know,
Yeah.
who knows what.
Right.
But she wouldn't even talk to me. I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna leave you alone. She's like, okay. And that was literally the only word she said. After I literally asked her, like, are you good? Kind of trying to shook her head. You good? Just shook her head. You want to talk? Just shook her head.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I'll leave you alone. So I went over to Miss Jasmine. I was like, hey, she's going through it. Do you mind going and talking to her?
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging out with the kids. We're having a good time outside. It's nice and hot, so I'm just sweating. You know, it's 100 million degrees outside. And
Oh, man.
I see Miss Jasmine over there, and I see they're now like having a good discussion.
Uh-huh.
And now there's also a guy that's a 12-year-old over there. So it's two 12-year-olds hanging out with Miss Jasmine, having a deep conversation.
Yeah.
And the guy that's talking to him is really giving Miss Jasmine like all the tea, all the stuff, saying, "Hey, this is what happened. There was some gunshots,
Mm-hmm.
and then they saw her talking to the cops, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
think that she ratted them out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so since they think she ratted them out, they want to kill her this weekend.
Yeah. Gosh.
And so
terrible.
you have a 12-year-old girl that is, you know, fearful for her life at this
Yeah.
point. And so Miss Jasmine says, do you mind if I just pray for you to comfort you?
Yeah.
And the guy looks at Miss Jasmine and says, prayer's not going to save her.
Gosh.
And you hear God is a God of no cap. You know, God talks about, you know, I'm there for you. I want the best for you. I'm going to protect you.
Yeah.
I don't want to forsake you. You know, I have plans for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so as Jasmine's praying over them, and I'm not even around. I hear this story afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
My heart's just breaking as Miss Jasmine's telling me this story. But the lie of that God can't protect her was 100% in her ears.
Oh, for sure.
Because,
man.
you know, her friend right there is telling her, like, prayer ain't saving you. It
Yeah.
ain't helping.
Yeah.
And so I remember going home that weekend and just thinking, you know, at some point I'm probably going to hear on the news that a 12-year-old girl,
Yeah.
you know, that is near and dear to my heart is not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was we showed up at their door Monday morning, knocked on the door, and there she was. And you could tell she still was not in a great headspace.
Yeah.
But, I think for me, it was this huge win of a moment of this is what it means that God is a God of no cap.
Yeah.
Like when we say he can protect you through prayer,
Yeah.
he can protect you through prayer.
Absolutely.
And you need to go to him with everything. Like we tell the kids all the time, prayer is important. You need to take all of it. Your highs, your lows, whatever you're feeling. Be honest with them. Like, I don't like that the kids cuss, but I'm like, hey, if you need to cuss at God, like he can take it. I promise.
Yeah. Right.
Be honest with them. Like if you're fearful for your life, and be real with him. Like
for sure.
You see it in Genesis too. He's an intimate God. He wants intimacy. He wants to be close, and you see it throughout the Bible. He wants us to be real with him. And so to see Miss Jasmine be real with these two kids, and then not just to be real with them on a personal level, but to take it to a spiritual, to take it to prayer, and say, hey, I believe God can protect you, and then God protecting her. Yeah, I was like, that is God, is a God of no cap.
Oh, for sure.
100% right there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I kind of wanted to say this too. Like, it's a good reminder for me. Like, I remember when you told us all in our breakdown, like the story, and you had just talked to Jasmine, 5-10 minutes earlier. Like, I felt the same thing. But come Monday, it makes me get emotional. It was a good reminder for me that, like, I forget that. Like, God is truthful. Like, it helps me remember, like, when we pray for this kid, I'm exactly like you. I go home that weekend, like, God, please, like, don't let this person die. Like, I don't want to show up to work Monday. But it's like, it's a good reminder even for us, like the ones doing the work, like, hey, God's saying, hey, Zach, hey, Eric, hey, so-and-so, you believe this too. Like, I keep my word. Like, prayer is powerful. Like, prayer is meaningful. So if you pray for protection, trust it, But anyway, such a good story, man.
Yeah. So God is a God of no cap.
That's right.
I hope you locked in this week with us.
That's right.
We'll be locking in again next week.
Yeah.
Got another incredible top truth coming at you. No spoilers, though, ever. No spoilers on this show.
Ever.
For sure. Never, ever, ever.
That's right.
But it's going to be great, and we're going to follow the same kind of plan and give you a win for the week. I hope that's your favorite part. It's my favorite part. It's gonna be the most real part, probably.
Yeah.
The reality of what we see. And that's what we want you to step into, a little bit of our reality of what we see every single week, every single day.
Yeah.
If we had time, we could just probably do a 20-hour long show of stories.
Oh, for sure, man. Easy. Hey, quick shout out to Miss Jazz. Wherever she is,
out in DC, law school.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on,
we miss you.
The cool thing is, every Arkansan chasing their God-given dreams, our mission.
Yeah.
And so we got to send her off to law school this summer.
Yeah.
And got to pray over her as we send her off, and she is absolutely incredible. She's gonna crush it.
Yeah, she was a rock star, man.
I hope we get another 2 months to work with her.
Yeah.
Reality is, she's off to law.
Yeah.
And,
doing what she's called to do.
Hey, but if she ever comes and visit, hopefully we can throw her up on a microphone and hang out and chat with her a little bit.
Yeah, Miss Jasmine, if you see this, come on. Hey, hang out with us. Well, cool. Come see us next time. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Eric, my good brother.
Word.
Yeah. All right. Peace, guys.